Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to go over my top 5 books that I read in 2024. I know it's a little bit late making this video. I did plan on releasing this a little earlier, but I only got to film it at the start of the new year. So I thought I'd make it, drop it today as fast as possible, and then see what I can come up with for later videos for you guys, because I know that you guys sort of don't like me making the same video over and over again. So I'm trying to come up with new ideas for you, but right now I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit to get you over until I can make something a lot cooler. So I'm gonna just get straight into this video, honestly. I don't want to keep you guys here for too long, but yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so the first book I wanted to put on this list, it's one that I know a lot of people have read and is a very famous book, but I wanted to bring it up because just in case some of you haven't read it, it is the first book of a Song of Ice and Fire series, also known as A Game of Thrones, which, if you haven't heard of it, had a very, very successful television adaptation a few years back, and it finished not too long ago. But this book was incredible. I'm not a huge fantasy reader myself, but for some reason, I just decided, you know what, stuff it, let's jump in. And to say that this blew me out of the water is an understatement. I was so shocked when I read this and realized that this book is actually amazing. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. There's so many characters, such a rich story with such great world building. George R.R. Martin is one of the best-selling fantasy authors for a reason, and it's because he is so good at just telling stories. I wish I could be like that man in terms of how well he writes, but clearly I don't have that talent because I'm here talking about books instead of writing them. Alright, so the next book I'm going to put on this list, I've talked about before on this channel actually, Salem's Lot. This is my favourite Stephen King book. I loved Salem's Lot. I know it's had a few really shoddy television and film adaptations. I would love to be able to adapt this myself because I feel like I could do it really well because I love this book so much. Not to toot my own horn, but this book, I read Carrie for the first time and was like, oh, let me find some more Stephen King books. And I sort of went chronologically and went, you know what, Salem's Lot, that was his next book. I picked up Salem's Lot not really knowing what it was about, apart from the fact that it had some interesting imagery on the cover. Started reading it and went, oh my god, this book is amazing. I am a huge fan of vampires. I love all the Dracula films. I love the book. I've watched all the Nosferatu films and adaptations of the original Nosferatu film. Nosferatu! Which is an adaptation of Dracula. I don't know, I just love vampires as a monster and character, and reading this book just made me realize just how much I enjoyed that sort of story. Alright, and so the next book that I'm going to put on my list of top 5 books that I read in 2024 is going to be Ethan Hawke's A Bright Ray of Darkness. Now, Ethan Hawke is such a talented writer, actor, musician, director, whatever you want. He, for some reason, is just so great at everything he does. I wish I was like him and being that talented. But this book is about an amazing actor on the stage who was caught cheating on his partner, and it's the downfall of his career for a little while there and learning to overcome that. Ethan Hawke had something similar happen to him during his come up as an actor, but I believe most of this is fictional and some of it's based off of his own experiences. And I don't know, I just loved this book. I read it in one sitting. It had me laughing, crying, enjoying the story, feeling so emotional and overwhelmed at times. Ethan Hawke just has a way of explaining his own thoughts and emotions that I think a lot of authors miss out on, and I can't wait to see what else he writes in the future because this book feels so underrated and I feel like everyone should read it if you are someone that likes reading about the human condition. But yeah, that's all I'm really going to say about that book. Second to last book I'm going to put on this list is one that I feel like everyone knows. It is such a famous book by such an amazing author. She is incredible, and that is Donna Tartt's The Secret History. If you haven't read this book, I don't know where you've been. I'm a huge fan of films like The Dead Poets Society, and going into this, I was expecting it to be similar to that, and it was to an extent, but it was so much richer narratively and had such unique characters, and I don't know, it really fits that dark academia aesthetic, if you know what I mean. and I feel like everyone who's read it understands that this is like the epitome of that, if that makes sense. I'm gonna stop gushing over this book actually. Alright, so the last book that I'm putting on this list is gonna be one that I read pretty late in the year, aka read it over Christmas time, and that is gonna be A Time to Kill by John Grisham. John Grisham has quickly become one of my favourite authors over the course of 2024. His thriller stories are incredible, and this is no exception. There's so many great characters in this book, so many morally grey things going on, so many controversies, so many cultural issues being discussed. It's just such a great thrilling narrative as well. There's so many elements that all just come together, and John Grisham is such a great author in the way that he can build such a rich story out of such a small town environment, which is incredible to me. I think I'm going to do a video on John Grisham books soon, so I don't want to talk too much about this. I just want you to know, if you want to read a good legal thriller, pick up A Time to Kill and read it in 3 afternoons. You've got it. I think that's all for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And if you want to see more videos from me, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your suggestions of what you'd like to see, books you want me to read, and anything in between. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and peace.